for October the 10th, 2024. Our first order of business will be to approve the minutes for June 20th and September 5th, and I'm going to call on Commissioner Pearson.
Chairman P., I have reviewed the minutes and found nothing out of the ordinary, and I would move for their approval.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Second thing on our agenda is public comments. We have none signed up for tonight, so we'll move on to the investment report. Michael's going to cover that for us. Mr. Beatty, and I just want to congratulate him and his wife. They're actually on a 30th anniversary trip, so congratulations, guys. Michael.
So tonight I'll cover kind of the investment report that Mr. Beatty usually gives, and then I'll lead into the fund condition report because they're related. So as you know, since we last met, the Fed did lower interest rates 50 basis points, which did affect our bank rate, which you'll see on your iPads, because that is tied to the Fed funds rate. And additionally, our LGIP rate, which is not directly tied, but it is influenced by that since it invests in treasuries and things like that, it has decreased to 5.15%. So still earning really good on our investments, but it has gone down since the Fed lowered rates. So that's it for the investment report. But as I go into our fund condition.
Michael, do we need to separate those on a vote?
I think we can vote to take them together if that's okay with the committee.
Okay, continue.
So second, leading into the fund condition report and revenue report, we are looking at our revenue for all of our major funds. We are where we should be at this time of year. As you know, property tax collections just started. So I'll report where those are percentage-wise next month since those bills were levied in October. But to note, we did budget conservatively on our investments gains, so we are where we should be with that. The other thing I wanted to mention tonight is we're talking about kind of the fund condition and the financial status of the county, is that we've started working with our bond counsel and our municipal advisor. Next month, more than likely, we will probably be bringing a refunding debt issuance to this body. It'll either be next month or December. We think right now, at the current rates, we could save a little over $1 million over the life of that bond. That'll be a refunding for a bond from 2015. Most of our bonds are 20-year bonds, callable in 10 years, and so we would refinance this one for a 10-year bond, and so we'll probably be bringing that option next month or December for this body to approve. The other thing to put on y'all's radar is, my understanding is the schools did pass a resolution to send over to the county commission for the health and ed next month, which would be for us to borrow a little over $40 million. And so we're also working with our municipal advisor and bond counsel on options for this body, should y'all like to pursue that. One of those options would be to add on to this refunding, kind of like we did previously for the elementary school. Another option would be to put off the borrowing until the spring, when the school system has told me they're going to make a request for a middle school sometime in the March-May timeframe. And so just wanted to put that on y'all's radar for any questions y'all may have with that.
The $40 million is for?
Laverne High School was what I was told. Addition, I should clarify, for an addition. I believe that'll go to Health and Ed at the next Health and Ed meeting. That concludes both the investment report and the fund condition report.
I have a motion to approve. Second. Commissioner Irving. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is the risk management.
Good evening, Commissioners. Ed Elam, Insurance and Risk Management Director. So in your 264 fund for the month of September 2024, you have in revenue $2,302,209. Expenses, you have $2,188,693. and your revenue less expenditures is a positive $113,515. That's for the calendar year. The total for the calendar year, you have $17,413,065 in revenue. Expenditures, you have $16,995,660. Revenue less expenditures for the calendar year, you have $417,405. And your total for your fiscal year 24-25, for revenue, you have $5,813,605. Expenses, you have $6,360,203. Revenue less expenditures, a negative $546,598. In the 266 report, for the month of September, workers' comp, $897.56, OJI, $83,563.12. The total for September, $84,460.68. Year-to-date, workers' comp, $3,415.07, OJI, $258,253.52, and then the total year-to-date, $261,668.59. County attorney, for the month of September, you have $42,690.80. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion and a second. Commissioner Johnson, any discussion or questions? Hearing none, call roll, please.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes. Motion carries.
If I could just, one comment real quick. We are in the middle of open enrollment. It does close on the 18th at noon, so you'll need to make sure you put all employees need to make sure they have their changes done in the open enrollment by then.
That's the retirees also?
Retirees, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, retirees is going to be the first week in November. I think it starts the 4th and goes through the 8th of November for retirees.
Mr. Johnson, pick up your mic, please.
Yes, sir. That we received that at 8 o'clock in the morning, and with open enrollment starting at 12, so it was a little chaotic there for a while. But so everybody answer your question, so everybody knows. The email that went out from Murfreesboro Medical Clinic stated that Cigna was going out of network, and it did not apply to the Medicare Advantage plan that the retirees are on at the moment. Negotiations are still ongoing at this moment. Hopefully, it will get resolved. And just to elaborate a little bit more on that, I think from what I'm seeing industry-wide, because of the cost of services and everything going up and inflation, I know you're going to see, because it's happening industry-wide, to where a lot of them are in the old contract and they're trying to make up for the inflation. So you're going to see a lot of contract renewals over the next period of time because the inflation was not built into them when the inflation occurred, so they're trying to make up for it. We, as far as the county is concerned, will be in a similar situation because our rates for 2025 are already set. So any increase that we that would be effective 1/1 of '25 is not built into our 2025 rates. So we'd have to build it into the 2026 rates and then also make up for a little bit of the deficit in 2025.
Chairman Phillips, you're you're good. Anything else said?
No, sir.
Any questions? All right,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Next up is item 6, Ambulance Service Fund Budget Amendment. Brian?
Commissioners, good evening. Brian Gaither, EMS Director. We're asking to utilize donations that was from the prior fiscal year budget and add to the current donations or gifts that we've had and put it into our donations line item.
Have a motion?
Second.
And second, Commissioner Sereno. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, call roll.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno? Yes. Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Brian. Item number 7, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration Grant and related general fund budget amendments.
Good evening, Lachelle Ricks, Director of the Recovery Courts. We received a $1.7 million no-match grant over the next 5 years from the SAMHSA, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration. The resolution was to apply for up to $2 million, and we received the 1.7. We are asking for permission for the mayor to accept this award.
Any discussion or questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
So that would also include to approve the budget amendment to bring those funds in.
Do you want me to do that together?
Yes, that would be all go together. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we also have a budget amendment for year 1 that will cover all of our recovery courts. We're going to be adding occupational therapy, vocational training, advanced trauma training, equity-based interventions, and support and assistance for our participants.
Have a motion to approve the budget amendment and permission to sign the grant.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Sereno. Any further discussion or questions? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno? Yes. Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8, general fund budget amendment for the Tennessee Highway Safety Officer grants. Actually, 2 of those, right? Okay.
Good evening. I'm Steve Spence, Deputy Chief at the Sheriff's Office. This amendment is being requested for the final quarter of the financial year 24 Police Traffic Safety Grant Program for the Sheriff's Office to recognize the remaining balance of the Tennessee Highway Safety Office grant to be utilized for overtime and related benefits for authorized alcohol and sobriety checkpoints as well as checkpoint equipment. The request adds the carryover from last year to current budget year. This grant ends 9/30 of 24. This grant requires no match. This amendment also recognizes the new financial year 25 Police Traffic Safety Grant for overtime related to benefits and funds for message board to be used in the conjunction with checkpoints and Tennessee Highway Safety Campaign. This would be used to support the operations such as Click It or Ticket, Booze It and Lose It, along with the 4 checkpoints that the Sheriff's Office conducts in conjunction with the Rutherford County Task Force. Period of performance is October 1st of 24 through September 30th of 25, no match. Requesting the carryover, $28,250 and the $150,000 for the new budget. Place $129,550 into the overtime line item, $8,031 into the Social Security, $15,392 in the pension, $1,877 into Medicare, $23,400 into law enforcement equipment. The teen grant, This amendment is to request the carryover on the Teen Driver Safety Grant Program for the Sheriff's Office. Recognize the remaining balance of the Tennessee Highway Safety Grant to be utilized for School Resource Office overtime and related benefits for teen events. This request adds the carryover from last year to current budget year. This grant ends September 30th of '24. This grant requires no match. This amendment also recognizes the new financial year '25 Teen Driver Safety Grant for overtime related benefits for teen events. Period of performance is October 1st, '24 through 9/30 of '25. No match grant. Requesting the carryover $1,375 and the new money $20,000, placed in $17,885 in overtime, $1,108 into Social Security, $2,124 into pension, and $258 into the Medicare.
You've heard the request. Any questions on this?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Shreveno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries. Please continue.
Yes, sir. This amendment is to provide additional funds for overtime needed for employees covering vacant positions in the Jail and Family Medical Leave Act, requesting $500,000 from the guard's salary and placing it into the overtime line item.
Questions?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second? Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Shreveno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries. Steve, I'm going to ask you to hold on. Michael, I think, is going to cover this next one, but we may have a question for you. Go ahead, Michael. That's item 10.
So for the next item on the agenda, if y'all remember, I believe it was last month, the Sheriff's Office and the Grants Department brought a request to apply for a grant with the Christie Houston Foundation for AED devices. Those would be spread amongst the Sheriff's Office and other public safety entities within the county. Since then, we have now been awarded that grant. That grant was awarded after public safety met, which is why you're seeing it tonight. That grant did have a 50% match, so tonight in front of you is the budget amendment plus the grant that we were awarded. However, I want to clarify one thing. We think we've negotiated a cheaper price for some of these AEDs, which would lower that, so this would be the worst case, which is what we originally applied for. But we do think it's going to end up being cheaper for both Christie Houston and the county. But this goes ahead and covers the grant as it was originally applied for and awarded, but we have negotiated a somewhat smaller rate for the actual cost of each AED. And so tonight we'd be asking for permission to accept the grant and for the related budget amendment.
So we're kicking in an extra 168.
That's correct, 50%.
It's a 50-50 match, yes.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Shreveno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, next up is the item 11, juvenile detention contracts with various counties. Lynn wasn't able to be here tonight, but just to let you know, these are the continuing updating the contracts that we have with existing counties. None of these are new counties, which basically every few years we try to update those contracts. There's actually a little bit of increased cost, I think, from 175 to about 200 today a day. Michael, you got anything you want to add to that?
That pretty much sums it up. And these, I will add, she brought several of these last month, so really this is an exact continuation of that. All of these contracts just weren't signed to bring last month, but it's just a continuation of that.
Chairman Phillips, recognized.
It was approved through Public Safety too last week, I believe.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Sereno. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Shreveno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries. Item 12, subrecipient agreements and professional services contract for the Broadband Ready Communications Grant and related fund budget amendments. Call on Michael there.
So previously, a few months ago, we approved and were awarded the Broadband Ready Communities Grant. And during that time, we did announce that these nonprofits were two that we were going to partner with. And so that grant was approved, has went through the commission. Tonight, what you're seeing is the related budget amendment for that grant that was approved and the two subrecipient agreements with Greenhouse Ministries and the Journey Home. This does not have a match from the county. We're a pass-through to these nonprofit entities. And so tonight would be approving the two subrecipient agreements and the budget amendment that's related to recognize that revenue and expense.
This grant has already been approved by the full commission.
That's correct.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yep.
Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Shrino?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries. The next two items Michael also cover, but it's basically where we have a new chairman over the school board, and we have to get signatures for them to be able to sign.
That covers it. They're both, I will add 13 and 14 are for the exact same thing. One's for the payroll account, one's for where we write vendor checks. Also, if you're curious who signs each check in the county, that's also on the front page of that resolution, just if you're curious. But item 13 and 14 are for what the chairman said, which is Claire Maxwell is now the chairman of the school board.
Do we need to separate these? Can we take them as one?
You could take them as one, it's fine with us.
For that motion. Have a motion to approve the facsimile signature and a second. Any discussion? Call roll. This is item 13 and 14.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Shrino?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries. Michael, you want to take item 15, general fund amendment for Rutherford opioid board.
So as we look at item 15, you'll also notice in front of you tonight, I handed out another budget amendment that will also go with item number 15. And so to clarify, the first budget amendment that's on your iPads, that amendment appropriates Rutherford County Opioid Board funds for advertising, and that's going to be things like the Lamar billboard contract. We advertise at the Avenue and at Stones River Mall. This also allocates money for the Rutherford County Recovery Court Foundation for client assistance. That's what's on your iPad. And then also what was talked about at the opioid committee meeting was we're looking to get some grant software management. So as over the last couple of years, we've almost doubled the number of grants we've had. And especially with the opioid board's grants going out to these nonprofit agencies, it's really expanded that scope of the paperwork and tracking all these grants. So Reba and Alyssa in our grants department, the director of that department, has requested some grant software. We also checked to make sure we could spend some opioid money with it. And then Chairman P requested that we check and make sure that we had all of the legal requirements with our OIT department, with our legal counsel, based on some bad software implementations in the past that we've had. So we did check with all that. We actually had a member of OIT department sit in on the demo of this software. We've checked with Nick and the legal for that. So the budget amendment in front of you that's on your desk would be to use some opioid funding to fund some implementation of a new grant software for us. And the other portion, we would like to put all grants in one software. So that other portion of that would come from the county unassigned fund balance for this first year. And then the goal would be for every remaining year to use indirect cost so that the grants, a certain small percentage from every grant the county has, covers the grant software itself to help manage that. Right now, we're managing a lot of these grants on Excel spreadsheets. And so we would really like to have a software that combines all of them, tracks the approvals, the paperwork, and things like that. So that's what the second budget amendment that's on your desk would be for. And my understanding was it did get approval from the opioid committee. However, we wanted to, the committee, specifically Chairman P, wanted us to check and make sure everything was on the up and up, really, and that we were following everything we needed to.
Any questions about either?
Is the 17,000 that the county's kicking in, is that All that's opioid related too, right?
No, so so if you're looking at the one in front of you, 25,000 of that cost would be from opioid funds. 17,000 would be from the county unassigned fund balance in the general fund. And then the remaining years after that would come from the indirect cost of other grants. As we're implementing indirect costs, we haven't done that in the past, but over the last year, we're trying to implement indirect costs as the cost to manage these grants has went up. And what that is, you'll take a really small percentage, 1% from each grant, and it helps cover the cost of managing that grant.
So there's non-opioid grants in here?
Yes, that's what the county portion would be for the 17,000. That's why we're,
We did kind of a pro rata or something like that for.
yes.
Well, we didn't. He's basically been doing all this by hand on Excel, and there's so many of them now. And two, they're not just for the opioid board, but all the county grants can be managed that way.
And we did that, that's why it's split, kind of a pro rata share between opioid and non-opioid money, because we want one singular grant management software. Yeah.
Any other questions on the grant and the opioid? The grant app, I'll get that spit out, or the opioid expenditures. You said something about 70,000.
So it's 17, yeah.
Well, he said 70, I thought.
We said
Maybe I
70
misheard.
is
You said 17.
is the 45 plus the 25.
Yeah,
Yeah.
17,000. It was just a question about whether that's opioid or that's all the county and that's county pro rata share. That was the question.
Yeah, okay, I misheard you. Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion. I have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Sereno. Any further discussion? Roll, please.
Commissioner Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Srinio,
Yes.
Commissioner P.
Yes, motion carries. That's all I've got for tonight. Any other business? Hearing none, we are adjourned.